Alright, so let's talk about Doctor Strange, which is pretty strange in a way. Like it's one of those Marvel movies where the plot is pretty similar to the other ones. And you can argue a lot of these are pretty much the same anyways, but I felt like this one was more glaringly obvious, and I don't think that was probably the director's fault. I think it's just Marvel does try to have a specific story in these movies. But I felt like this one suffered a little from that, but that's my only issue really with this movie because I think everything else is awesome. I think that this movie it's just really, really fun. I love how Scott Derrickson, who is a horror movie director, was brought in to do this. I thought that was really bizarre, but I like that though. I like that that's a way of bringing in somebody from a different genre, and I thought that was really cool. They did that with Guardians of the Galaxy with James Gunn too. I think that's funny whenever they do that. But this was a really like I said, the plot was very samey to the other Marvel movies, in which arrogant arrogant main guy, Stephen Strange, learns a lesson after being arrogant that it's not all about himself, which you've seen that before, and that's fine because I think the performances are really good in this movie. I think that Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome in this movie. I haven't seen him in much. I know he's in Doctor Who, but I haven't watched him in much at all, because I've never seen that show. But in this movie, he's really likable. I like how he is like Tony Stark, where he's this really, really comes off as dickish at the beginning of the movie. And you see why, but you also see the humanity in him. It does a good job of showing how much arrogance can lead you down this dark path, and then the way that he builds himself back up from that dark path is really cool, with help from using magic. And I think that he's really great, and I think that all the other side characters are great too. I think that it's awesome that Rachel McAdams is in this. She plays Christine in this movie, and I like her a lot because she doesn't she's like the other romantic leads, but she doesn't she has a point to being in the movie, and I really appreciate that because I hate when people write characters that are the girl character supposed to be just a romantic interest. I hate when they don't do anything, and Marvel does a pretty good job of doing that, where they're kind of involved in it. I don't like whenever it's just they're just fawning over a person. I like how she's involved. I like how she helps him out whenever she's in the movie. And I like that she's not in the movie as much, and I'm not saying that as a discredit to Rachel McAdams or anybody else, but I'm saying that just because they could have made it into more a romantic thing that felt forced, and it didn't. And I like that it wasn't like that. I like that these characters had really great chemistry, and their performances were really great. They were really funny. Whenever Stephen goes in the hospital and he's been impaled, and he goes... And she's like, "What are you wearing?" And he says, and he explains that, and he explains how he went to this different place and did all this. He's explaining what he's done since he's seen her, and she says, "Oh, so you've joined a cult?" And I think that makes it really funny because he's like, "No, I didn't," and she's like, "Yeah, you joined a cult," or he'll explain what it is, and she'll be like, "Yeah, cult." I think their performances are great, and their chemistry is great. And it's just on screen enough to make it, for me, and make it not too much of it. But I think that they're really good in the movie, and I think that Mads Mikkelsen, while his character is the typical Marvel bad guy, he's good. His performance is good. It's Mads Mikkelsen, of course, but he is kind of handicapped in being in that Marvel villain thing, where it's just you get why he's doing it, but it's kind of lazy just how he was in the movie as the villain. Which again, I don't discredit Mads Mikkelsen, because again, he is a fantastic actor. Watch Hannibal, he is fantastic. But he his character is handicapped, not him. It's supposed to be just kind of generic villain, and that stinks. I really wish that they would stop doing that. And it's not an insult, it's just oh, they don't have anything special about them, they're just bad. And that, to me, I guess that's it just annoys me a little bit, but it's not like the worst thing ever. But that does give this movie a little points less in its favor. But he's fine. It's his performance is fine. I liked him in the movie. He just didn't have anything like amazing to work off of. And Benedict Wong was funny as Wong. Like, he's hilarious. That thing where the Beyonce thing where Stephen Strange is talking about Beyonce, and then Wong's like, I don't know who that is, and he says, like, she's a famous singer, like, you should know who she is. And then later, whenever Stephen's stealing all these books, then Wong is listening to all the single ladies on in his headphones, and you can hear it. That was a funny joke and payoff. I thought that was cool. And I like how he's serious through the whole movie, and then by the end he laughs the first time, and it's hilarious because it builds up to that. And I thought that it was good too. Now, I gotta say, my favorite performance in this movie, even though they're all great, my favorite performance is actually Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, which she was gripping and haunting, and then her last scene in the movie, she was great the whole movie. Like, she was cool, and she was at first this whimsical, like she's kind of being mysterious in what they're doing, and then Stephen Strange learns about it and trains with her. But I like how she's this whimsical character at the beginning, and at her last scene, whenever she dies, it is one of my favorite scenes in any Marvel movie, because they're in their astral form, so they're not actually, like, their bodies are gone, or they're out of their bodies, so they're just floating around, and they go up to the window, and there's this moment that keeps rewinding itself, where she says, like, she has always seen this moment for as long as she can remember, and always paused on it, like, something's gonna happen here, which meant her death. And the writing and the performances in this scene are fantastic. The way she's talking about how everything dies, everything must die. Like, it's hard to explain without, because I can't really remember the whole thing she said, but it really was emotional, just the way that she ended her role in the movie. Like, it really was haunting, and she just did a fantastic job, and she was my favorite performance in the movie. Even though everybody else was great, she was my favorite performance, and that scene alone, whenever she died, before she died, her final scene was haunting and just emotional. Like, it worked really well on all levels. Like, I really love that scene. And yeah, pretty much that. Like, I like the movie a lot. I think it's great. I don't think it's my favorite Marvel movie. It's definitely in, like, the middle tier. So it's not like my favorite one, but it's still really good. It's still got a lot of standout moments, like the ones I just mentioned. Like, the characters are great, the acting's great, the visuals are fantastic. Some of the coolest visuals I've seen in a while. And it's so different to the other Marvel movies too, the visuals they have, because what they can do in this movie with the magic is distort time and space, so they can make objects, buildings, everything be moved around. It's kind of like, it looks like Inception in a way, but they didn't copy it much. Like, it could be interpreted similar to Inception or Christopher Nolan's stuff where he does that, but it's still different, and it still is really cool and really visually outstanding. Like, I feel like that was my big hook for this movie, was the visuals, which is fine. Movies can do that too, and the acting was good, the visuals were great. Just not my favorite Marvel movie of the bunch, but it's in the middle tier. It's not bad, but it's not like my favorite. Got a lot of standout moments, and I really, really enjoy it.